The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey guys, can you hear me? If you guys are there, we'll go ahead and start early. But I'm not getting any responses, so that's all right. I'll just go ahead and send it in just in. I'll just keep on popping in every now and then. Are you guys there? All right, I'll go get some water and be right back. Hey, Kevin. All right. Gabe, you there? Looks like Gabe's still on here. That's all right. We've got some really fun stuff today with Unity. I know last time was a little bit all over the place, but this time we'll really try to put a lot of pieces together and make some stuff that works and is a game. So whenever Gabe is here, we'll get started. Kevin, you can go ahead and, or both of you, if you can hear me, Gabe, both of you can go ahead and fire up your Unity. We'll be almost exclusively, I'll be jumping back and forth between the presentation and Unity, but we'll be in Unity all day. It's all hands-on, so you guys can follow along. If you want, you don't have to, you can just watch me, but I would recommend that you follow along. You'll get a lot more out of it. All right. How was your weekend, Kevin? Great, awesome. I had a good weekend too. We went out to the farmer's market, got some tomato plants and a basil. Even though I'm on the 11th floor, I live on the 11th floor of my apartment, we have a window. That's all right, Gabe, no problem. All right, I'll just finish what I was saying. So we have I've got three tomato plants and a basil plant that I'm going to, crossing my fingers, will grow on the 11th floor balcony. But we still get full sun. We're on the south side, so I think it might work. But anyways, all right, into Unity. I'm going to assume you guys have it fired up or firing it up now. Today, we're going to start what we are going to call Project Rollerball. So this will introduce us to the basics of attaching or of like creating objects and actually like interacting with them, which I think will be is one of the core concepts to figure out in Unity. And once you can do that, you can do a lot of really cool things. So let's see. Let's start off. Open it up. Start a new project. I'm going to call it Rollerball. Let's see. I'm going to show you my whole desktop today because I don't want to waste time flipping back and forth. You can see I'm a fan of the Hornets. I'm glad they're back. Finally. Okay, so new project. Let's call it Roll Ball. Okay. And feel free to, well, yeah. I might have needed to click on a bunch of things. Let me see. Create. Yeah, this looks good. Okay. Feel free as we go along. If you feel comfortable making changes or picking, you know, other objects in any cases, other colors, whatever, don't feel like you have to stick with it. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the default view. I think it's a lot more convenient, and then drag this game into here just so I can see both at the same time. I find that helpful. All right, and then we go back here. So the first thing we want to do is create a folder called Scenes. So in this Assets area, you can right-click, Create Folder, and we'll call it Scenes. All right, and we want to let's see, I think if we go into the Scenes folder, then we can click File, Save Scene, and we'll call it Scene 1. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, we still have to drag Scene 1 into Scenes. So just plop it in there, and you can see this is we're going to use this Assets area down here as a way of keeping track of all our files. You get a lot of files with games, so it's really important to keep up with the file collection. All right, so remember these scenes are like a level or one place that something can happen. All right, so remember your view controls are up here. We switch to the default layout up on the top right corner. Everything okay, Gabe? Oh yeah, I know, right? All right, so well, I'll try to. Let me know if I'm going too quickly. Yeah, it really changes things around. I know. Okay. All right, that goes for you too, Kevin. I'm gonna go quickly, but just please slow me down if you need me to repeat something or say, "Oh, how did you get that?" or something. Just ask me in the questions. Okay. So, because some of this we already covered last time. Remember on the layout, you can click. Let's see. I already showed you that. Moving the game tag. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is to create a plane. This will be the floor, basically. So we go into this hierarchy here, create 3D object plane. All right, so now we've got this flat thing here, and it's a little small, so I'm going to scale mine by a factor of 2. You'll notice I skipped Y. I only scaled X and Z. Any guesses why I did that? So if I had scaled Y, it would make it taller. That's right. And this is a plane. Who cares if it's taller? This is our floor. We're not going to see under the floor, so it doesn't make any difference. So remember, this is our game object. The game objects are the sum of its components. We get some default components in here. Its location, position, rotation, and scale is called the transform component. This plane mesh filter, mesh collider is built into this object. That's going to keep our ball from falling through the floor or through this emptiness of Unity space, I guess, our world. And it comes with a renderer. Let's see, I want to get this out of the way. Okay. Oh, okay, yeah, I can still see your questions. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I can see your questions and do this at the same time. Okay, so now we've got this world here in a slightly bigger plane. All right, so yeah, I already pointed out these transformations. We resized it. All right, and if you prefer it without the grid, you can go to in here in the Scene tab. You can click Gizmos and uncheck the Show Grid. Yeah. Well, that's kind of like it without. Yep. So I'm going to leave it unchecked. They do add automatic lighting, but you don't have to keep it, Gabe. That's just for convenience. You like the old, you have to create your own light. You can directionalize this too. This is a directional light. We'll actually get to that in a sec, so I'm going to address it in a little bit. But we want to go ahead and create a sphere first. So let's go in, create a new object, a sphere. You can create, a sphere is probably best for this. The one thing I would keep, to make this project work, we need a plane and we need a sphere. Otherwise, we can figure the rest out. So our sphere is halfway in the plane, halfway out of the plane. So yeah, XYZ coordinates are way easier than dragging. Gabe's pointing that out. That's definitely true. Now, if I did drag it around, you know, see, I can do this, right? And then it updates my coordinates. But if I do that and I want to, you know, the numbers are weird or whatever, I can just click reset, and it'll automatically put it back into place where it started in the center, and that kind of makes things easier, and you don't have to clear everything else. So what do we need to do? Gabe says he starts all beginning platforms with 1, 1, 1. Yeah, that works. In this case, position X and Z, 0 are fine. That's just where we are on the plane. We'll start on the center of the plane, which is 0, 0. But it's going to be a problem starting halfway through the plane. So we want to bump up our y-axis. If we set it at 0.5 or higher, we'll be 0.5. We're resting on top. So the sphere has a height of 1, initial height of 1, but half of that is underneath the plane. So if we started at 0.5, that's half of 1. That bumps us up so that our sphere is just resting on the plane, which is just what we need. Set y as 2. We're going to be adding gravity, so that is just fine. You can definitely set y as 2. and it's way up in the air, and then it'll fall when you start. That's actually, I'll go ahead and do that. I like that idea. Okay, so modifying the sphere, it's already at the center. We want to move it up. We moved it up in the y direction by 2. So the sphere is 1 unit in diameter. I mentioned this. Okay, let's keep going. But the sphere is difficult to see. So instead of changing the sphere, you could change the color of the sphere. It might be more dramatic to change the plane. So let's go ahead and do that. My favorite color is blue. You can pick your favorite color. But you want to create a material. So I did that from this assets here where we created that folder. Actually, first, let's create another folder. What do we want to call it? Materials folder. So create folder, name it materials. All right. And then in the materials folder, right click, create material. Okay. I'm going to name this background. You could call it floor, whatever. And the only thing we need to change here is this color palette. Since my favorite color is blue, kind of like the purpley blues. Let's get into there. That's a little too purple. There. Okay. I'm happy with that. And all we have to do is take this material from the background and drag it onto the floor or onto our plane. That's it. And it automatically applies that material to the plane. If you want to change the color of your cube, by all means, do it. It's the same process. You just create another material that's whatever other color you want and drag that one onto the cube. If we actually check out the plane, you can see that we've added a component, this materials component, called background. What did you want us to create inside of materials? So inside of this materials folder, so in assets we created a folder called materials, and then when you open up this materials folder, you double click on it, you right click create, right click then go to create, and then there is an option for material. So we want to create, put our materials inside of the folder called materials. No problem. Okay. And with that material, we can see I clicked the only thing we changed is this color palette here. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I named my material background because that's what I applied it to. I could call it blue or something, I guess, but game backgrounds are impossible to make. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, this is more like maybe a floor would be more appropriate, but I already named it, so I'm going to leave it. You can name yours whatever you like. Maybe floor would be more, yeah. So, yeah, they went and chose dark blue. You can choose any color. All right. We already dragged it onto the background. Now, just for, you could play around with it, but just for time, let's go ahead and rotate our camera. So you can do this in one of two ways. You can either click on the, sorry, not the camera, the lighting, yeah. So you can either click this skylighting, or you can go over here in your hierarchy on the right or the left pane and click directional light. So it will, just for the effect, let's rotate it. The Y right now it's pointing at -30. Let's go ahead and change it to 60. That kind of just shows what we can do. and so you can kind of see the effects that it has. It might help make our shadows a little clearer too from our angle. But again, this is all stuff you can play with. So then, and that was the y-axis rotation, not the position, or what is what that was the y rotation we changed to 60, and we're leaving all the other defaults the same. So, what happens when we click play right now? You click play, and nothing happens, nothing at all. You click play again to get out of the play mode. So physics aren't even happening on this ball. Look at this. This ball, I click play, it's still hovering in the air, right? So what we need to do is we need to add physics. Actually, that's what it's called. We go into add component, we click on physics, and well, within the physics we are going to add a rigid body. That's got pretty much all the programming we need built in. You can see that there's a default selected for use gravity, which is pretty handy. So I'll go over that just again, just in case you didn't see it. So oops, oh yeah, see, I added this to the wrong one. Good thing I did this again. I just added a rigid body to our directional light. So click on the sphere, make sure that's selected, and then click Add Component, Physics, Rigid Body. Yours falls, interesting. Without adding the rigid body? That's very interesting. Oh, you did that. Okay, well, you're a step ahead of me. Yep, so now once we have the rigid body and we click play, yep, it falls immediately. So that's what we want. I'm going to go ahead and start this up maybe at 5, just so we have a little more drama to start off. So when we start our game, you can see it falling from the sky. Okay, so that's the first step, but right now it just falls. So we need to actually write our own scripts that so we can help control the movement. So what we're going to do is create a scripts folder. Alright, so right-click in this asset section, just where we created scenes and materials, we're going to create a folder called scripts. And we want to click on the ball again, go back down to Add Component, and this time we're going to go and click at the very bottom. You might have to scroll. At the very bottom, you can click on New Script. We want to title this script. Shoot, what's it called? Let's see what they want to call it. I want to be consistent with this player move. Okay, so we're going to add component, new script. While we're selected on this ball, we're going to call it player move. It doesn't matter how you capitalize it, but it's important to be consistent with your capitalization. So once you type in the name player move, or whatever you call it, create and add, and you'll see that file gets added to our JavaScript, to our assets folder. We want to move that into scripts so that we're organized. You can just click and drag. If I could. Yep, there we go. And I'll go into scripts. Let's see. Okay. Yep. So go into scripts, and yeah. Okay, we already did that. So the rigid body component that we added allows us to manipulate the ball with forces. It abstracts out the calculation of where things, like the actual movement of the ball or how the ball moves. It takes care of all of the physics in the background. Oh yes, good point, Kevin. Mine was defaulted this time because I already did this ahead of time once. So make sure it's selected on JavaScript and not C#. That's a very good point. Yeah, all of our instructions are in JavaScript. I don't actually know C#. So if you went ahead and made a C# file, delete it and create another one with the making sure JavaScript is selected. Thanks for pointing that out, Kevin. So all we have to do is mess with the forces on the ball, and that will allow us to move it. Yeah, I know C# is pretty much just as easy as JavaScript, but I don't know it. So, and we have our example in JavaScript. So, yeah, well, we're going to stick with JavaScript for now. Plus, we've been learning JavaScript throughout this course. So, if you double-click the player move script within your assets class, then a program called MonoDevelop should open. It might take a little bit of time. That's okay. All right, that's Unity's built-in program, and we're going to go ahead and delete this all but the first line. You can leave #pragma strict. That's okay. We're gonna get rid of that and create this class. So class player move. This has to be spelled the same way as your file. Extends mono behavior, spelled the British way. O-U-R. I don't know why they did that. Maybe British people made this. I don't know. So, class player move extends mono behavior. Can you guys read my screen right now? The code that I'm typing? If so, this will make it a lot easier. I don't have to read it out so explicitly. Anyone? Yep. Okay, great. All right, so we're starting with the class that's the name of your file. Oh, hi, Jake. Okay, you just got here. What did you miss, and how do you download Unity so you can read the screen? Great. Okay. Let me get you set up with, get that to you, the link. We'll get you caught up. Unity might take a little while to download, Jaden, so let's see, unity3d.com. I think there's even a download section. Get Unity 5, that's where you'll go, and then you'll want to download the personal free download spot. So I'll send you this link. Okay. So I just sent that through chat, Jaden. I would go ahead and start downloading it, but I am going to keep on going. Let me know if you actually have Unity up, but it took me quite a while. I can certainly get you caught up once you've got it installed. But if you want, actually, in something like a Notepad file, you might want to go ahead and copy down this code that we're writing. That'll save you a lot of time. Later. So let's see. Once you've got Unity started, we're going to be flipping back and forth to this code a lot. So don't worry about actually missing this code or writing it down exactly. I'll be flipping back and forth quite a bit. So the link I just posted to the chat window, or you can just go to unity3d.com. It's not there. It says it sent it to the entire audience. Well, here, I'll show you on the screen the link. It's up here, unity3d.com /get-unity. I'll say it one more time, unity3d.com /get-unity. All right. So, and from there, Jaden, you want to download the free download for the personal edition. Yep, that's right. Let me check out. Yeah, here we go. Unity 3D. I think there's some setup instructions I can pull up so you'll be ready. Okay, so Jaden, let me know once you get to this screen, and I'll guide you through the setup. I think it's pretty obvious. The main thing is you want to be sure and download the example project. You can watch. I don't think I've posted the YouTube videos from the last lecture on Wednesday, but I'm going to go ahead and do that today. So I'll have that link out, and you can see what we did with the example project in the past 2 classes last week. We just kind of played around with the example project. It's definitely not necessary for what we're doing today. It'll just give you a little more background into what these pieces that we're using today really mean, I guess. Yeah, actually you can handle the whole installation yourself. Just make sure and click in example project. All right. So with this script, class player move extends. Oh, one sec. Okay. Can you download an earlier version? Yeah, you could give it a shot. I think. I mean, some things might change by just a little bit, but being able to use Unity is definitely better than not. I think. Let's see. I think Gabe had a previous version of Unity. How, Gabe, is this? You said you were using version 3, right? Yeah. Before, and is this one really different, or will it work just fine? Or do you think we could have done everything we're doing now? Probably could have done the same things. Okay. Yeah, I hope there's not too much difference, Jaden. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure any little problems, Jaden, you could find by Googling, or I can certainly help you out too. So once you get to that point, just let me know, and I'll try to help you troubleshoot. Editor. Let's see. So you're going to older version. Did you click down here? Older versions of Unity. 4X. So I guess if you just go with the 4X here. Oh, probably the Unity editor. I doubt you'd need built-in shaders or cache server. Start off with the Unity editor, and we'll cross our fingers, I guess. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'll just try to keep helping you troubleshoot as you go. Just keep on. Yeah, 15 minutes. All right. Hopefully it'll speed up. All right. So to continue our script, And now that we're going, Jaden, you can type this down in a Word pad or Notepad or some text file to copy into here later. That'll save you some time. So we want to create our variable, our speed. So right in here, you'll notice my format is a little different from the slides. I just copy what I'm used to and what I've seen a lot of people do online. So var speed, but it really doesn't matter. Speed equals 100.0. I think the 0.0 might be important, that it's not an integer, to let it know that it's got a decimal point. But I'm not sure. Make sure to end it with a semicolon, and don't forget the curly braces on the outside of the class. So that's how we start off creating a variable for speed, which is what we want our ball to move, and we'll be able to adjust the speed of the ball by changing this variable around later. And now we want to create a function. So we'll write function. Let's update. Yeah, update. So some things we're just going to pretend, we're just going to take for granted that they work. And next time we'll probably get into a little more of why they work. Function update is a function that's called by Unity regularly, and it basically is what updates the object's location. So we want to create a new variable inside of here, var move horizontal, and then this is going to be a little different. :float equals get axis. Let's see. Equals input.get axis. All right, it's not popping up. And then horizontal as a string inside. I can send that code in chat. I'll send it up to where we are now. That's okay. Okay, there's the code. Okay. So, yeah, we're going to take a look at what this code we just wrote does. What we're doing here is saying, okay, like get something from Unity. That's basically what this semicolon means. It says, okay, this has something to do with Unity. So we want to get from input, which is the user input, something called get axis, and then we're passing in a parameter horizontal. So what does this really mean? Let's switch back to Unity and go into Edit, Project Settings, Input. When you do that, this Input Manager comes up. That was, again, Edit, Project Settings, Input. So then you see we have this axes drop down. When you click on that, you can see horizontal. And here is where, remember how last time we were looking for like things, some properties like including gravity and that sort of thing? Well, here is some of those options. And horizontal is actually this negative button and positive button. So what this means, negative button and positive button, means left and right. That's left and right arrow on the keyboard. So when you click left, well, let me start off by saying horizontal can take one of three values, -1, 0, or 1. And that's kind of defining our inputs. So I think this might be explained a little better from the slides. So when we look at this input axis horizontal, what this means, you can see that we're accessing this property by, this is similar to our code. We said input.getAxes, and then we passed in the parameter horizontal, right? So that's how we're accessing this property. And what is returned when we do this is a variable that is equal to, or it's a number that's equal to 0, 1, or -1. So it depends on if the right or left arrow key is pressed or neither. So if you hit the right arrow key, that's the negative button. Oh, sorry, left arrow key, that's the negative button. And if you hit the right arrow key, that's the positive button. So when you hit right, it'll return 1. If you hit left, it'll return -1. And if you don't hit either, it'll return 0. If you hit both, my guess is that it adds them up and gives you 0. But I'm not positive. You could test that out. We're really close to seeing what we're making right now, Jaden. So I'll show you what we'll make next time once we get a little further. But unless you have to go right now, I just want to go through this because we're pretty close to getting through this script. So that's how this is how we're going to control the movement of the ball. So you can tell, like, you really don't need to do nearly as much programming as you might expect to be able to use the left and right arrow key. And really, we're only doing the interesting stuff, I guess. So for input, just like move horizontal, we don't want to just move in the horizontal direction. We want to move in the direction perpendicular to the horizon, which they confusingly name vertical. It's not up and down. It's more like horizontal goes along the maybe the x-axis, and the vertical goes along the z-axis. Which is on the ground. So it's a little confusing, but keep their consistent naming. So say move vertical, colon, float equals input dot get axis. How do you actually play the game that you design? Well, I'll show you as soon as I finish typing this. Vertical. Okay. All right. So we're really close to being able to run some code that works. We have now in update. We're reading our input. We're reading whether the player has pressed up or down. That's vertical. Left or right. That's horizontal. And then we want to create a movement vector. So vectors are defined. We'll call it movement. We're not grabbing anything from Unity, so we can use our normal, the one we expect. The var movement equals just the equal sign. We're going to create vector 3. We're going to create a vector 3 object, and we're going to pass in 3 parameters: move horizontal, the variable we already created, 0, 0.0, and move vertical. All right. So when we do this, don't forget the semicolons. Now we've created a vector that's a 3D representation of. It's just three dimensions: x, y, and z coordinates. In this case, they're did you push up and down? Did you push left and right? And that middle one that we set to 0 would be equivalent to up and down. We don't have a jump button, but that might be something like jump. Maybe you could add on to this project by making the spacebar jump. But for now, so this is, right here, this is, I'll make this big for a sec. This is what this means. This is, you know, when we hit left or down, oh, this is wrong. I'm going to go ahead and delete this out, actually, because I think it's... So when you hit right, then that's move horizontal is 1, right? And the rest are 0. If you hit, because nothing else is pressed. If you hit left, move horizontal is -1, and move vertical is 1, because that's up would be 1 and down would be -1. In both cases, there's no jump, so we set it to 0, so it's going to stay 0. All right. So we can take that, and we've got one line left. All we need is to, so now we've got the direction of, you know, what key has been pressed, basically. We've got all the combination of keys pressed. Now we just have to set something. So we're going to set this on, remember this isn't specific to any object. It's actually only, we're going to make it specific only to whatever rigid body it's attached to. So we're going to say get component, and it's going to autofill for us, dot, and then it's an arrow rigid body. That's or a what would you call that? A less than rigid body greater than, I guess. And then open close parentheses. I know there's some weird syntax in here, but just follow with me. Then we want to add a force. Oops. Remember how we said rigid bodies work off of forces. So now all we have to do is pass in a number. And we want this number to be equal to our movement. That's just 1 or 0 in 3 different directions, times our speed, which we just defined as 100 up here, times what we want to call time.delta time. This way, time.delta time multiplies it by the change in time. So no matter if our computer speeds up or slows down, it keeps track of how much time has passed before the last time update is called. So this way, it behaves as expected. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste all of this into the chat in case you're having bugs and you just want to get it to work. And so this last line, get component, applies that force, movement times speed times delta time. That's movement, remember, is just a 1 or a 0. 3 different 1s or 0s. Speed is a number, 100. And time is the amount of time that's passed. So we're just multiplying all those together, and that turns out to be that will be equal to our force. We're setting it equal to the force. And so when we use the arrow keys, we should be able to apply forces to any given rigid body. So that's the end of the script. And so what we want to do is make sure you save, hit Control S or Command S, maybe if you're on a Mac, or just file save. And switch back to Unity. And this is how you play your game. Compile issues, Gabe says. Well, I did pass in the code. If my code didn't work, then I'll have to go back and check. But, oh, you're right. Okay. I open, closed. Oh, I didn't. Nope, there it is. Okay. It looks like I didn't close the parentheses, maybe. Yep, right here. I didn't close my add force parentheses. Let's go ahead and look and check. Oh, I see. Time.delta time doesn't have open close parentheses. Okay. Let's see if we hit play game. All right, it runs. And the ball drops. And we hit the arrow keys. And the ball... Did your ball start moving around? Oh yeah, I guess that's it. Okay, so with these arrow keys, compile errors. Okay. I'll send you an updated copy because I did send you a bad copy before. So that last message should be the code, and make sure you save it. It's going to be hard to find, for me to find your error in the amount of time that we have. If we want to get through this lesson. But I would say go ahead and just copy mine for now if you haven't gotten it. Probably, I'd say the most common things missed are semicolons at the end of every sentence, I guess. All of the statements, which is there's 5 statements here. The rest are definitions. Those, or forgetting to close parentheses or curly braces, are probably the most common. Oh, Gabe, you're one step ahead of me. All right. So what we want to do next? Well, now? Let me ask. Did everyone? Does everyone have a working version now? Jaden says copying Unity to desktop. All right, great. Oh, you run into problems? Jaden? Oh. Well, I'm sorry about that, Jaden. I guess, are you working on your parents' computer or someone else? You might be able to, yeah, okay. Well, that's a good idea. And once you can get someone with authorization to install it, or to, yeah, then you can copy and paste, and follow the YouTube video. We've gone through everything so far. It sounds like you might have to add some lighting yourself, but you did install the version right before this. So, all right. Well, I'm going to keep going then. I'm sorry that didn't work. Let's see. So, yeah, and I'll be sure and put this on YouTube as soon as I can, probably tonight. So, Gabe, go to Materials in your Assets. Did you create that Materials folder? And inside of that, you should have your background material, and you drag that material onto the background, or onto the floor. You could have called it floor. I called it background. No problem. Okay. Oh yeah, be sure and save along the way. If Unity crashes, you can save it up. Yep. Jaden, Kerbal Space starts next week. While I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and send you guys the link. Or you can Google it. It's just Kerbal Space Program Demo. I probably is going to be the demo for now. But we will see. think I think all the stuff that we're going to do is notification. I don't see any notifications, Dave. Is it on my computer? Oh yeah, nope. That's not even today. This is an old slide. Yeah, no. This is actually the person who created this PowerPoint started this last week for a different class. So differently than the demo, some of the demo. All right. Well, I think we're really going to try to focus on the basics and understand some of the physics behind it. So I think for us, the demo should be just fine. Gabe, let's try to get through before we get to music. Music's really cool, but I want to make it a little easier for us to, and more user-friendly for this game. So right now, you guys should have code that when you hit play, your ball either drops from the sky if you started high, or you can just start it on the ground, rolls around. Does that work for those of you who are following along and have this installed? And then also when you roll off the edge, I'm trying to roll off the edge where you can see. Yep, it will roll off the edge. All right. Jaden, I actually don't know that. I can tell you by next week. We are going to lift off a rocket and then land. We're going to shoot it up and then land. Basically, just a very simple, intro to getting a rocket off the ground. Then we're going to put a rocket into orbit, and if we have time, we will land a rocket on the moon. On Mun, yes, the Mun. All right, yeah. So, and we'll probably try to enter Mun's orbit, and then land it. Yeah, those are the goals. Oh, 2 moons, cool. All right. So, Mun and Minmus. All right. So let's go ahead and try to wrap this up. We do want to add. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. So if you click on the ball or the sphere, you get these properties over here. If you go here, you can look at your player move script, and you'll notice that this speed is a variable. So when we hit play and our ball drops, we can make our speed 800, right? When you click, yeah, remember you have to, when you change it, you have to actually click back into the game window. But you can really move this thing around quickly, and it's really easy to fall off the edge quickly too. Or you could change the speed mid-game to 50, click back in the game spot, and it rolls around pretty slowly. And actually, if you change it while you're in play, it'll change back to the original value. So you're not really messing with it. You're only messing with it while you're in the game, so you can play around with it and then kind of figure out what you like. So why did we get this speed here? Well, if you go back here, you can see we've got this thing called class player move extends mono behavior variable speed. Well, let's make another variable. Message 1 equals hi. This is message 1. And then inside of the function, let's do var message 2 equals, I'll just go put a bunch of 2's. Okay. Oh, and don't forget semicolons. Save it. And we go back. We run this. And what do we have? We have message 1 right here. It just updated. It says, hi, this is message 1, right in our script for us to change while the game is playing. So, if you have variables that are in the class, but not contained inside of a function, those are variables that can be changed by yourself. You can change them right here in Unity. I'm going to go ahead and delete these. Well, we can leave them in. Why not? But the variables inside the functions are hidden. So that gives you a little bit of background. All right. So let's see. I want to switch back to here. So that's what's called scope. Message 1 and speed are within the scope of the program. The other scope are just within the scope of the function. So basically, we can change message 1 and we can't change message 2 outside of the code. So the next thing we want to add, the last thing for today, is to make sure the camera follows as well, because it's really difficult to follow what's going on. So we want to move the camera up and rotate it down, just like Gabe actually suggested earlier. Okay, so let me zoom in on this, because these values we'll go straight to these values. They're pretty easy. Okay, so we want to set Z to, well, I think Y to 8, Z to -5, and rotation X to 50. So let's click on the camera, 8, -5, rotation, X rotation 50. Okay, so now we're looking at the ball. And we want to create a new script. So click Add Component, New Script, just like we did before, and we'll call this Camera Follow. Create an add. Remember to drag this into your script folder. Go in. Okay. Now when you double click it, it will open up a second tab in. Click it. It'll open up a second tab in your editor, MonoDevelop. We can go ahead and delete what's here, and I'm going to go through this quickly because I want to get this code to you. Let's scroll down. Okay, so we want to create the class camera follow extends mono behavior. Open, close. All right. We want to create var player as a game object. So we're just saying we need to set a game object right here. We're going to have to fill in player later. And then we want a private variable. That means we're not going to get a choice to set it later. Offset. We're going to set that equal to, we're just defining what it's going to be, what type of variable it's going to be, vector3, but we're not setting it yet. Then inside of a function, open, close. Let's see, we want to name this function start. So this will be called when our code starts. We're going to set offset, which is like finding out where the camera is starting off, I guess. Transform dot position. All right. So this just sets offset permanently, so that we know where our camera is starting off. Then this update, this late update function is similar to update, but it only updates once per screen. which is all we need for the camera, right? We don't need it to update more than once per screen because that's more times than we can see, which is just wasted things. Otherwise, you could add it into the update section, but it would just be excess code. So we're going to transform the position, or we're going to set the transform position to player.transform.position. Basically, how much has the ball moved, and then plus how much do we start off with. So our starting offset plus how much the ball moved equals our new position, basically is what this is saying. That's all we need to write. Save that. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, get it to you guys. And we're so close. Okay. We want to go back to Unity and click on the camera. I'm going to click on it here, main camera. And then here we said we have a player, but we haven't attached. We haven't said what the player is. So we need to click this dot next to the player. And in here it's a select a game object. So we'll go to scene. And in this scene we have our player, which is the sphere. Once you click it, you can close out. And you can see that it's set. And so now it's going to look for how much the player moved, which is the sphere. And it's going to move the camera that same amount. Now if we hit play, let's see what this, remember this is the game view. And look at this. Now it moves just like we expect. And even if we fall off, we follow the ball down. So that's how that works. How do you select? Okay, yep, sorry, that was fast, I know. Okay, so to select the player, click, I know it's the hour and we're going to have to leave, but I'll answer your question, Gabe. If you have to go, have a good night, and we're going to pick up from here, and we're going to, next time, we're going to create a bunch of pickup items, so that when we roll around, we're going to, Gabe actually is ahead of the game here because he said he added walls already. If you want to try to figure that out, go for it. That's a nice challenge. But we're going to add walls, and then we're going to set a bunch of objects around so that we can actually roll around and pick up these objects ourselves. And when we hit them, we won't collide with them, but they'll be kind of like pickups. Yeah, so it's going to be kind of like this picture you see here. I can make it bigger. So we're basically going to make this a pickup game. And if you like, you can make it a maze or something. Once you can do this, then you can make it complicated with the maze or whatever. But yeah, so this is cool. Yes, you're right. Unity does. Kerbal is made with Unity. So to answer your question, Gabe, before we leave, click on the main camera. So in your camera follow script, click on this dot next to sphere, or next to player, and then it'll probably default to asset. So you want to click scene up here in this select the game object, and then select sphere. And once you have that sphere selected, so the sphere is your player. That's who you are rolling around. So that's why do we use that terminology. You set camera follow on the sphere. Okay. All right. Jaden, you let me know if you figure out how to make the Earth revolve around the Mun. I bet there's a setting for gravity or something that makes that work. I don't know. All right, cool. Well, that's the end. have a good night. We'll see you on Wednesday.